All right, this will be case D595420. Council President Thacker?
Good morning, Your Honor. I apologize for the quality of my voice. Marilyn Caston, 11654, with Marie Stokey, who's also present.
Okay. You guys can have a seat.
Good morning, Your Honor. Doris Navy, bar number 6431, and present with me is the defendant, Daryl Ryan Stokey.
Okay. I think you guys talked a little bit pursuant to 16.205?
Yeah, we started last week.
Okay. Any temporary resolutions?
I think the only thing we agree on is that the marital home is to be sold. Neither one of them can afford to buy the other one out, although my client would like to have the option if at all possible, so probably just listing the marital home. And the other thing that it's not an agreement, but we've discussed, Mom has no desire to move back into the marital home in Mesquite, and so she has no objection to Dad staying there, depending on what the court orders with visitation and custody to get the house ready to be sold.
It also needs some repairs, and there's an insurance check that's been issued, so it would make sense for Dad to supervise those repairs and make sure that they're done in conjunction with listing the house and keeping it tidy for staging and things of that nature.
Okay.
Obviously, my client, who's the breadwinner, is still making all the payments, so essentially he's getting to live rent-free and expense-free while he gets back on his feet. So that makes sense too from an income perspective. I believe my client is staying with family members right now, so she's able to keep making those payments while he's getting employment. But we would ask that he be ordered to get employment. I understand it might be a little difficult for him, but
He might be difficult, but he's obligated to attempt that. I agree with that.
And they both did execute the back of the jointly payable check, Your Honor, from State Farm.
Okay.
yes.
And all of those are to be used for the repairs of the house. I think we've agreed on that as well.
Correct.
How are you going to select her? Have they used a particular realtor in the past up in Mesquite?
They did. They used a realtor to purchase the home, and my client was going to look into whether she'd be willing to list it again and work with them and perhaps even cut them a deal on the commission end of it, so it's not quite as much of their equity pocket. But I think we can work together to figure that out.
Yeah, I don't think Ms. Cass and I will have a problem with that.
Okay. So, is your client going to maintain, or does she maintain her job in Mesquite even though she's in Utah?
It's actually in St. George. The clinic is located in St. George, so she's maintaining her employment. It's more of a part-time status right now because of the birth of the twins, but it may change in the future as she acclimates back into work. But right now she has a little bit of reduced income whilst her maternity leave and paid time off all expired, and she cashed it all out. So now she's got a little bit less income, but she's maintaining her practice in St. George, which is why it made sense for her to kind of land there while they're working all this out. It's about 40 minutes away from the city.
She works in Nevada though as well.
Yeah, my agency job is in Mesquite.
Oh, so she has both. So
Yes.
she has one in Mesquite and one in.
Correct.
So I guess it doesn't matter which one she's in. She has to commute to one.
Right.
So the biggest issue we can't resolve, Your Honor, is visitation, custody, supervised versus unsupervised.
Well,
And Dad doesn't obviously concede to Mom staying in Utah or vesting any kind of jurisdiction temporary or otherwise in Utah.
so, Ms. Stokey, you're temporarily in Utah, but you're looking to live in California?
She has family there, and she's already looked into licensing there, and she has more of a support structure that can help her with these new twins. She went from having one child to 3 children, and so now it's going to be logistically more difficult for her to make, as the breadwinner, to continue to do all this working without any assistance. She's interested in relocating to California, but obviously that's a decision the court has to make. These are really young children, so there's no school issues. It's something that even if the court granted her temporary permission and then took it back in a final disposition hearing, it wouldn't affect schooling because they're 4 and brand new babies. So it's not something where they'd be jumping back and forth with school districts. And obviously whatever the court issues as far as visitation, she would make sure the children were available for whatever the court ordered.
Almost, my 2 cents are given the significance of the underlying incident that occurred. I mean, again, I don't know where this is going to come from. I don't know if it's going to come from his portion or community funds, but I mean, I have to have some evaluation that he's fine to be around them before I'm gonna order unsupervised.
Okay, and if Your Honor is concerned, I believe they had asked for a mental health evaluation.
I am concerned, yeah.
Yeah, in their pleadings, we opposed that. We suggested that the court wait for the PSI to see what the criminal court does in terms of the sentencing, whether they impose any counseling, whether they impose evaluation or anger management. I believe that sentencing is set for November 26th of 2019. But
That's-
if the court,
That's true. My only concern with that is they're not looking at it from a custody
Yeah,
standpoint.
absolutely.
They're
well, I
just-
understand they're not. So, I mean, if the court is inclined to do that, I put in my papers, the only problem is he's not currently working. So he got fired from the last job that he had when he got picked up on the TPO violation and arrested. He's been looking for work. He's had at least, I think, 3 job interviews since he retained me. He's having a hard time getting work. So if he is forced to undergo a mental health evaluation, the money would have to come from mom, subject without prejudice to possible reimbursement or offsets later on in the case.
Again, she's barely surviving on her own. I'm not gonna make her come out of
And I
pocket.
haven't been paid, and I put that in my pleadings,
That's-
his retainer bounced, and I really wasn't even sure if I was gonna be here. I just didn't wanna come in here without having anything on file on his
And if-
behalf. Who knows if I'll be in there in this case.
If you end up withdrawing after, I understand that, but
Yeah.
again, the sooner apparently they sell the house, maybe there's some equity in there that he can have his portion use that, but I mean, this is a significant incident. He's already, on top of that, violated the TPO. That's concerning. Why are you shaking your head? You got arrested for it.
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay?
And Your Honor, quite candidly, I appeared telephonically at that TPO hearing, and the judge spent a lot of time reiterating to defendant that it was not what is considered a violation and what he should or shouldn't be doing, and some of those violations were after that hearing.
Yeah.
The problem is, Your Honor, he tells me he has no funds to pay for a mental health evaluation.
Ms. Nemi, listen, as a judge, he looks like a very nice guy. How long was he an EMT?
He's
10
at,
years.
yeah,
10
10
years?
years, Your Honor.
Very
He worked-
stressful job.
He worked for AMR earlier this year, and he's currently enrolled in Dixie College for a nursing degree.
Again, we have what we have. These kind of cases scare me. So, and I'm not, you throw out an option, if they lived here locally, it would absolutely be at Donna's house until he got an evaluation. I don't know under these circumstances. I am gonna allow her to remain temporarily up in Utah without prejudice until we can get to a point where, he has some contact.
There's a facility in St. George called the Butterfly House that I think is similar to Donna's house, but even less frightening in the sense that it's like a house that looks more friendly to children, where they do these supervised visitations. That would be my client's request, is to use that facility.
Courts use it?
We just heard about it this morning, Judge. I haven't had any time to look into it. I
If they
think.
wanna vet it, they can look in and check and see if they're comfortable with it, but that would be our suggestion.
So, just on the court's, note on the court's concern, he has provided me copies. The council has not seen these, nor have I vetted them. But letters from ABC Counseling Services, Redcliffe Counseling, and St. George Children and Family Psychiatric Center regarding the counseling that the parties have been through regarding him, having been assessed for PTSD, as well as depression, anxiety, and the stress scale tests. I'm happy to share these with counsel. Obviously, I haven't vetted them. Like I said, Your Honor, I'm very new to the case, and I haven't had any resources to do any subpoenas, investigations, or otherwise.
I understand,
If
Ms.
the
Demi.
court,
I absolutely understand. So he's absolutely been diagnosed with PTSD?
yes. Yes.
And again, I have to, as you know, one of the factors when I consider custody and all of these temporary custodies is the mental health of one of the parents. Let me give you and again, he didn't ask for it. I'll give you an analogy. We get a lot of military people that come back, they go serve our country, they come back with PTSD. I empathize with them because it's, again, no one asks to get that. But I can tell you, they can create some scary situations, like what happened here. I can give you a parent one of a young military kid went over in Afghanistan for a couple of years, came back. We gave him part-time custody. When she went to pick up the child, he had duct taped the children and left them in the garage. It's again, I just need one of our family court people to say, not this, that they've received treatment. My guess would be that that would be counseling between the two of them.
One is individual, one is between the two of them.
And again, my guess is it's not written in a manner he would be absolutely fine to take these children, two of which are brand new babies.
Yeah, born in July.
Right. So I will be very candid. I will going to err on the side of caution in this case throughout. So I would think he would jump at the opportunity to go to the butterfly place up in St. George.
Your Honor, if I may address the court. I love my children and I've never hurt them. Ever. I am aware of the way this looks. I miss them terribly.
I don't doubt you do.
And
I'm not
I've
saying
been
you're a
away
bad
from
person
them.
either.
I've been away from them longer than they've been alive. My children don't know me.
I'm trying to fix that. We'll make it as often as you can under the circumstances until I get. You gotta understand my job, right?
I understand, Your Honor.
Okay.
And I would like the court to know that I understand whatever the court imposes, I'm willing to follow.
Okay.
I just want the ability to see my children.
And we're going to try to fix that. So the sooner that can get set up in St. George, I would say, you know, if it was here 2 or 3 times a week, if he's still in Mesquite, it's the same distance if it's, you know.
Your Honor, the concern that I have just logistically, if their house is sold in Nevada, and I understand Your Honor's gonna make rulings on relocation. So if mom is not being ordered to come back to Nevada, she's gonna be in Utah for longer than 6 months, obviously, since the filing of this case. By the time we get to relocation, by the time we get to a trial. The court agreeing to allow her to remain in Utah, I presume, would be without prejudice to any issues that
Absolutely.
we have, okay. Because that's a big concern of his. He had consulted with other lawyers prior to coming to me, and I assured him, but I wanted to make sure that the court, letting her to stay there, would still make the decision about whether relocation would be from Nevada to California, not whether mom's already been in Utah, and so therefore we apply a different standard, because we're just talking about
Well,
maintaining.
let me make this simple for
Okay.
everybody. It's clear she is not intending to stay in Nevada. He made comments in his initial paperwork that he would like to reconcile with her. I don't think that's an option right
He's
now.
accepted that's not an option.
Second, he may decide he wants to at least reside in the community in which she lives in. So if he ends up leaving Nevada, then we lose jurisdiction. But as long as he remains in Nevada, then we retain jurisdiction. But if he decides to move to Utah even temporarily with the knowledge that he's going to be moving to California so he can have weekly contact or something like that, I end up losing jurisdiction.
So if he remains in Nevada, would Your Honor still then assess the relocation, first make
I have
custodial orders and then assess relocation as though she is in Nevada? That's the only concern I have, because she was.
Yeah, I have to. We're
Okay.
back, and we don't have an initial custody order. I'm back under, it's not under the statute for relocation. We're back under old case law, which is Druckmann and Potter.
Right, okay.
But she would have to prove her case.
And it's not our intent to divest Nevada jurisdiction, it's not mom's intent.
Right.
Okay,
So the best I can do is order that there be frequent supervised visitation up at the butterfly place up in Utah, and I hope that he would take advantage of that.
Our other concern, Your Honor, too, is that it might make sense to come back after his sentencing is completed, because we don't know what's gonna happen, especially with the new TPO violations. I've attempted to try to get a hold of the DA to find out if her recommendation for probation is gonna stand, but at this point in time, I don't know that. His sentencing is set for November 26th, so I didn't know if Your Honor wanted to have a hearing again in like December or January to find out what was the result of that, what they recommended that he do, if he's been able to get that evaluation done by then.
Listen, now let me name me again. I understand she hasn't been paid. She might be off the case by the end of the day or tomorrow. All that being said, I can fill out. It's going to have to be a PhD level. I can fill out a referral. Usually those aren't done within 90 days, and then basically we'll back in 90 days, and if he's in the middle of doing that evaluation, I'm just trying to think 2 steps ahead, because everybody's anxious to get the evaluation done. The house might not move fast. I mean, Mesquite's, I think, is doing as well as far as the economy or housing economy as it is in Vegas, and I don't know if there's any way to especially if it's a house that's pending sale to borrow from it, but I don't know, I don't know if he has I don't know if he has family members who can loan him the money knowing he's going to get some funds from the house. I don't know. But all I can do is order it.
That makes sense, Your Honor.
And then we'll basically come back on a return from it. I could tell you the one that's done the best for me lately, and I think she's actually semi-reasonably priced, she's a PsyD, would be Sunshine
I
Collins.
was just gonna suggest her. We did one
She's-
recently, yeah.
I had never used her. I got one, we've done her twice and got a couple of her reports. She writes phenomenal reports for the
And I think
court.
it was pretty reasonably priced.
So, and then we'll, I mean, if something pops up in the interim, we may be back on some sort of emergency motions, but all I can say is frequent contact at this facility in Utah. I'd assume you travel up there and just see your kids as much as you can.
Yes, Your
Again,
Honor.
usually with kids of this age, in these type of circumstances, they usually limit it to 2 hours.
Anything.
I understand that.
Your Honor.
I understand that.
I'm, if I may, Your Honor, I want to see them immediately.
As soon as they can set that up.
Yes.
Okay. If it's like this one, there's a evaluation process first or orientation process. It may take a day or two, but I guess Ms. Caston, I'm going to put it on you. If Ms. Namey, for today's purposes, you just want to add of error caught, you can become attorney of record again at any time. But I can take you off today if you'd like.
If you could take me off today, Your Honor, that would be great. He's trying to gather some funds, but I think now with your orders, those funds are probably gonna be going to something else before me, so if he decides to retain me, I can jump back in.
I understand. So we'll go ahead and take you off as the attorney of record. So, Mr. Stokey, you're needing to call Ms. Caston regarding the status of that, most likely with emails, or you want to call her?
I will try to call Ms. Caston,
Okay. Well, you can email her so there's some sort of record of that.
okay.
Okay? But she's under an obligation to, again, it was their suggestion, the facility, so I don't think they're going to defy what's been ordered temporarily.
Yes.
Okay? So we will do the referral out for you for Ms. Collins. It will be a custody evaluation noting that there are underlying, do you have a form, Madam Clerk?
Yeah.
And we'll set the return date on that, knowing that it might not be done by then, might not even be paid for by then. Sir, if you have any family members you can borrow money from, letting them know that you're absolutely getting money with the sale of your house likely, that you can pay them back.
I've tried everyone, Your Honor. Not even having food in my house.
Well, maybe it'll go fast.
Your Honor, I just realized I let Ms. Caston know that the joint, the check that we thought was jointly paid to both of them has a third payee, which is Freedom Mortgage Corporation, and I just noticed that. So obviously, somebody on behalf of the mortgage company has to execute this check before they can get access to these funds and begin the repairs.
Okay.
Do you want me to handle that?
She said that's just the third party, but the only thing that needs to happen is just going to handle it first.
I mean, I guess you could try. And
That's what he
then
said. He said
if it
insurance
doesn't
company
work-
told him to try, but.
Temporarily, I will be granting the plaintiff temporary without prejudice primary, or the primary physical custody. I'll make it primary legal. I mean, he has the right to review records and stuff, but I'm not gonna involve him in any, decisions that need to be made immediately for the, especially the younger children. The primary legal custody falls within the definition of Rivera 2. The court, it's indicated that the court can order that. If in fact, for any reason, he ends up doing time or decides he's gonna relocate again to the different states until this basically follows family, then we seem to be put on notice so we know whether to proceed, continue or not. Okay? So until then, we'll give the referral to Ms. Collins. You may have to come down to a couple of the appointments with the kids. That's kind of all you have to do other than the butterfly place. Okay? So let's do a 90-day status check date on the defendant's evaluation. Madam Clerk? Because I'll be, again, unless and until I get the evaluation done, it's still the court's intent to keep it supervised, regardless of whether he has to do time or not. I mean, if he did time, it makes it easier for me. Then there'd be none. So,
Your Honor, with respect to the primary legal where he's not gonna have a say-so, he would like updates on the children.
that's primary legal. He doesn't get the say-so, but he gets informed or has the access to the records.
Right, so how do we do that with the TPO in place too? Would they do
Oh,
families? That's my concern.
that's true.
Now I'm out of the case, I won't be able to communicate with Marilyn.
Should we modify that? Well, I mean, he can always talk to me.
Well, yeah, but like the child has a herniated umbilical cord the last time that he heard anything about the youngest twin. So he has no idea what's going on, if she's treating with a doctor, if the condition is healed.
Maybe if they used one of the apps and we modified it just for communication.
I'll do our family wizard if you want.
If we do that, or maybe have mom give a weekly update, that way he's not having to ask. I know some judges have done that, or at least he knows they're good, nothing happened, nothing going on.
But she's the one that has better, is it Our Family Wizard where they can send the documents back and forth easier?
Yes,
That
and
makes
it's
sense
free.
to use that one.
Or that's
Which
not
one?
free, though.
Our Family Wizard, it's easier to show like medical documents.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
receipts
I
and-
prefer our family wizard versus talking parents, because when you have to get documents to come to court, then
Okay.
it's hard. So we'll give you that order as well, and I'll note, sir, you understand again from your, it's very hard to go through this. I understand when, marriages kind of fall apart. I understand it's a very tough time. But when you communicate with her, this is only regarding the status of your kids. Okay? No personal little notes in there, nothing. Make sense?
For the most part, I think I understand.
Okay. And I don't know what the terms of your TPO are. I mean, I'm kind of lifting it, and most JPs and other judges have no problem with us doing it for these family court purposes, but you get angry or say something inappropriate, even though we've allotted the communication through our family wizard, that could still constitute a violation of the restraining order. So be careful what you talk about. All right, 90-day date, Madam Clerk.
January 23rd at 1:30, and it's on your referral.
Your Honor, he's asking me about the frequency of the supervised visits. I know you mentioned 2-3 times.
I don't know what their standard is up in there. I mean, I would say at least 2 to 3. Some facilities have. I don't know what theirs are. I just found out the other day that as far as supervised with people sitting there, even though it's capped at 2 hours here at Donna's house.
Yes.
It is, yeah.
Correct.
I did not know that. I ordered 4, and they said you can't do
$20.
that.
$20 minimum.
And they charge down here, so I don't know if Butterfly House charges, they charge down here $20 an hour at Donna's.
Yeah, my guess is they're going to charge. So I have no authority to waive anything up in Utah. So that's cost is going to be on him as well. So if you want to prepare me a temporary order,
Sure.
and move on. Again, Ms. Namie's relieved of her duties, so as long as it comports with what's on the minutes, we'll sign off on it and send it back to you. And then if in fact she gets re-retained, she'll just file another notice of appearance. Okay?
Thank you.
Best luck to everybody. We'll see you back in January.